Okay, I wanted to run you through a quick demo of the RedBalloon ATS, and this is a demo account, and obviously Stars and Stripes Technologies does not exist, or they might exist, I don't know, we made up the name, but I didn't want to post a job and then have it be on a real site and someone apply and get very disappointed. So, Stars and Stripes Technology, when we implement our ATS for a new customer, the first thing we do is we start by kind of outlining their values and making sure that we've documented and put those values into the ATS. So obviously these are made up values for Stars and Stripes Technology: dedication, humility, freedom. But this is there's two purposes for putting your values in. The first one is it's a wonderful filtering mechanism. It allows you to only have the people apply who are actually going to be excited about those values and want to be part of those values. The second thing is it's actually a great legal protection, because if you come out and say we're God-fearing and freedom-loving, or we want to bless our customers, or whatever that is, you saying it out loud before they accept the job, they can no longer bring any sort of lawsuit against you because you actually believe those things, because you were out front about them. So it is really important to not be afraid of your values and put them out there, especially when you're setting up your hiring process. So now that we've got those, we hit save. One of the feedbacks we got, one of the pieces of feedback we got from our customers was that there was an inconsistent hiring process or questions along the way. And look, if our values are important, we need to ask good questions, penetrating questions about those values. And so you can see here, we're actually going to start to suggest questions and what to look for each one of our values along the way. Again, this only needs to be set up once, but we're going to kind of integrate this into the interview and the hiring process to make sure you're getting the right candidates who are going to align with your values. Okay, so we've got that all set up. That's a one-time thing. Now let's jump in and create a job and create a pipeline for hiring, kind of a hiring process. So first of all, you can just come in here and you can say, hey, I want to create a new job. I'm going to make something really easy, like Java architect. And one of the things I'm going to highlight here is whenever you're creating a job posting, you want to use a job title that is a standard title that people recognize, because they're going to be more likely to apply or at least understand that job. So I'll start with a Java architect, and then I'll hit next. What RedBalloon's going to do now is we're going to use that job title, and we're going to go out and find the skills, the knowledge, the abilities that are generally associated with that job, because we don't want you to have to start from scratch. So here we are. So Java, obviously it's a Java architect, so you're going to need a lot of years of experience for that. Software architect, Spring Framework is one of the main frameworks for Java, and so we're going to bring that forward. There's a lot of different frameworks you might want to use, and you can add those in the skills area or the strength area. And then we're going to add, and so these three are skills and these two are strengths, and these are things that we generally are going to see in a Java architect type of job. But you could come in here and say, I need to add another skill, Hadoop. We're going to add Hadoop 2, which is a framework that is connected with Java. We'll give 5 to 10 years of experience. I think that's reasonable. Every time we add a new skill or another strength, it's going to rewrite your job posting over here on the right, which is kind of cool. So these are the required skills and strengths for the job. And then down here we have the nice to have. So there might be things like Excel. And so Microsoft Excel doesn't take a lot of years. Microsoft Excel is pretty easy, so we'll add a couple years of that. And then you can add strengths like leadership, or there's literally thousands of skills or strengths that you can add, or you can add things that you just make up that aren't part of our taxonomy, but you might want to say, I want people who are fun. So fantastic. It's going to, again, rewrite your job posting based on all this information. And now you got a job. So we just wrote a job posting in a minute, which is awesome. And now we're going to go ahead and make sure that we're happy with what we wrote. So we look down here. Here's our job summary. Here's the qualifications, responsibilities. All of this can be edited, but we do want to give you a starting point for you're not starting from scratch every time you need to write a job posting. So now we've got this. Looks phenomenal. Let's move forward. Now, for this job, as people start applying to this job, what's going to happen? And this is where we're going to focus on your hiring process. So we kind of have some steps down here that we can add. I'm going to start with adding a screen. So we're going to add this screen. So when someone applies, they need to have a screening process to make sure that they're not a bad person or not a loser. So we're going to assign this to Rhonda, and this is anybody on your team, and we'll add all your team members. And then we might say something like, make sure they are not a loser. As instructions. And then we're going to go over here and have the skills, strengths, and company values over here on the right. Why is this important? Because why should you ask for something in the job posting if you're actually not going to check and make sure that it's actually part of the person's skill set? So I'm going to go in here and make sure that they know Java, that they have the Spring framework, Hadoop framework. I'm going to come down here. I want to make sure they have some system design and then maybe some dedication, because again, company values are important. And so let's make sure that these people align with your company values. Okay, now we've assigned these 5 things to Rhonda here, Rhonda Reliable, and make sure that when she screens candidates that she's checking on that. So that's our first step. Now we might want to add a review or an interview, and I'll add an interview, and we'll maybe make this the first interview. There we go. And we're going to assign this to Amanda Amazing. And we could say, Amanda, we'd really love to have this done within 24 hours after Rhonda does the screen. We could do additional instructions on things that should be covered. And then you'll notice over here on the right, we actually have checkboxes by all the things that have now been checked. So one of the things we got as feedback from our customers is we wanted to be in a position where you're not asking for a lot of things in the job posting and then not actually checking if those things are there. So if we're asking for it, we should check. So let's look for software architecture, even Excel, and maybe double click on Java to make sure that that's a good fit. Technical leadership, fun, and we'll throw in humility as well. So I've now assigned 6 different things to this interview process. This is really important because often when people interview, every stage of the interview, people ask the exact same questions. And so we need to make sure we're covering the waterfront for all the things that we're asking for in this job. So now we've got 2 steps. So we've got a screen, we've got a first interview. We could add as many steps as we want. We've seen some of our employers with 4 or 5 or 12 steps. And you can see you could add screens, reviews, interviews, or tasks. Tasks are kind of a catch-all. So you could ask a drug test or a background test or schedule an office visit. Just think through the entire hiring process and then let this system manage it for you. Okay, so we've got a very simple process here of just a screen and interview, and I'll just say I'm finished. And move on. So now this is going to be published on RedBalloon, and you can see here's our process, who's involved in it, and what they're going to be checking for. All of our other pipelines or jobs that are out there, you can see, you can look at these. If you've built a sophisticated pipeline with all the steps that you want, you can go and clone that pipeline and slap it on another job, so you don't have to do that every single time. But the point of this is basically to manage that whole hiring process and save you a lot of time and energy in the process. Also, what's really cool is now that we've made that job, we can actually go over to our careers page, and we will automatically update our career page with all the jobs that are active at the company. This will be on your external career page so that you can actually display what jobs are open at your organization. You can see here's our new Java architect job, and people can apply to it right here on the site. You'll also notice we have our values down here. This is part of the thing that we want to do. We want to make sure those are front and center. It's going to be a screening mechanism and a legal protection for you. So we don't want to miss that point. Also really cool, last thing I'm going to highlight here is we have this Join Our Talent Network. Now, what is that? Well, we got feedback from our customers that they would go to a conference, they'd meet someone awesome who they thought, man, that would be a good person to work for me at some point in the future. And then 6 months later, they're like, man, who was that person? What was their name? And then they're looking through their email, and maybe that person emailed you a resume, but it's not really searchable, and so you don't really have access to that information. Well, we want to solve that problem. So you can have people say, hey, can you join my talent network? I'd love to just kind of keep you up to date on our employment brand, on opportunities within the organization, and just be in a position that you have now put this person in a searchable, taggable, sortable database where you can actually reach out to them in the future. And once you put people into your talent network, you can see here they are. So these are people that are part of your talent network. You know that you can check out their entire profile, see what their career is, kind of 3 things that are important about what they've done in their life, what their phone number is, what their email address is, and since they uploaded their resume, we have parsed out all the skills that we found in that resume, so you can search on that information later. So in this talent network, there's basically 3 different ways you can add someone. The first way is what I showed you before on the career page. People can kind of self-select in and join your talent network. The second one is you can actually go in here and manually add candidates. So you meet someone at a conference, you can just take a business card or whatever and put it in there. Also, if you want to upload a file, so if you have a file folder full of resumes and you're like, man, I wish those were searchable so I could look for the skills or the things that I need for my next employee, you can send us that stack of resumes. We'll digitize it and put it into your talent network, which is pretty cool. So that's the first two ways. The last way, the third way, is you can actually use our global profile database. So we have a global profile database of over 100,000 names. And these are all pro-freedom job seekers that would love to be part of your organization and probably be a good fit for your culture. So you could go in here and say, well, I'm looking for, let's look at that Java skill as well. And you can see these are people who have already applied to jobs or are part of your talent network. But you can see here's a full stack Java developer. You can see the rest of their skills. This looks like a pretty good person to put into my talent network. So I'll just go ahead and chuck that person into my talent network. And now if you go up here, you can see this person is now in the talent network, and they're in Arizona, and you have an opportunity to reach out to them. Once they're in here, you can view the profile, send them a message. You can forward their application. In other words, basically take this person, send them to other people in the organization, say, hey, I found this person in the RedBalloon global database, and they might be a good fit for one of our open jobs. Or you can just go ahead and put them into a job slot. So remember, we kind of built that process for that job. You can take this candidate and just shove them into that process, and then they'll get screened, they'll get interviewed, etc. Speaking of that process, you'll notice up here are my tasks. This is where, as people make it through that hiring process, you're going to see that they're going to show up on your My Tasks. So I've been assigned to interview people, so they've already been screened. They applied to the job, they've been screened, and it's automatically kind of routing people through the system. This is for a video editor position in Fayetteville, Arkansas. You can see I have instructions on what I'm supposed to be looking for in the interview. I can take any amount of notes that I want down here. You can see here's clearly a fake note that was made at some point. But then I have these, remember I assigned 4 or 5 or 6 different kind of things that I wanted to be checked on in the process. Here they are. So this person, we need to say, are they a good company fit? Do they show good ownership? Are they a joyful team player? Do they have integrity? Do they have the skills and experience? Maybe not. They're not a good fit on that side. And you can see all of the information we have about this candidate, all of their tagged skills, kind of their salary requirements, and their full resume. Once you're done and you've kind of gone through that interview or screen or review process, you can either reject the candidate, and sometimes this is something our recruiters actually asked for. So I could send one of our templates of a resume rejection, but you'll also notice I can send it in 24 hours. So if you just got off the phone with them and you're like, they're not a good fit, but I don't want to send it right now because then they're going to feel terrible that I was like immediately bad DQ. So you could say I'm going to send it in 24 hours or 3 days or a week. So we can go ahead and reject them that way if we want. And if we do that, you can see they're going to be rejected and we're on to the next resume. Now we're going to go through and we're going to go and check on this person. At this point, you can go through and sign them up for the next stage in the screening. You can ask them to do anything you want in this kind of hiring process. So this whole system manages your hiring process. Make sure you don't drop balls. Make sure things don't fall off your plate, and make sure that you're responding to candidates and get the right candidate, and that as you're doing the interviews, as you're doing the screens, you're checking for all the things that are actually on the job posting. This has been a huge benefit for our customers. So just to recap, you have, with this system, unlimited job postings, unlimited access to our profile, the global profile database. You can build your talent network. You can build your career page automatically. It's just going to be built into the system. It's going to be on your external website. And we are going to manage your whole hiring process. We can give you dashboards and reports. It's amazing. I hope this was a helpful kind of quick overview of what the RedBalloon ATS looks like. We're excited for you to use it. And if you have any questions or you'd like a personalized demo, please reach out. Have a great day.